Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take you through the presentation on From Access to Success. The outline of our presentation is introduction, background, issues at hand, retention center, and future plan. I'm going to take you through the background issue at hand, and Lulama, my colleague, will take you through a retention center and future plan. So in terms of, in the democratic era, in the democratic era of South Africa, most students have access to higher education. However, 1 in 4 students graduate at a prescribed time, which is a problem. And because of the high level of failure and dropout, specifically the first years, we can see here the picture shows that they start at the same time, but they do not finish at the same time because of the higher rate of failure and dropout. So the issue here, as I have already indicated, that is because of the low cost success rate, especially the first years. So I'm going to share with you just a snippet of a report from success report for 2013 to 2015 at TUT, where it indicates high impact subjects. And then these high impact subjects are the subjects that are below 50%. So this is the trend that we are seeing here from 2013, 14, and 2015. The rate here, you can see there's a dropout in terms of the marks. This is just a snippet just to show that there is a decline in terms of the success or the performance of the student in the higher education. This is just an example that I'm sharing with you. So the issues that we have identified is traditional monitoring methods, where the lecturers are trying to monitor the progress of the student. It does not identify students at risk, specifically early in the academic year. And then we can see here the picture indicates that there's a less monitoring of students, where you see they're only at the time of you are passing, or you have passed or you failed, which means there's no consistent monitoring in terms of where the student is during the academic year. Therefore, there should be a plan to improve this success rate, because we do want the student to move from having access in education and be able to succeed in life. So my colleague Lulama will take you through the plan to improve success rate.
Besides the traditional methods that lecturers often rely on, large groups and limited times in the classroom has been one of the problems that has caused lecturers to find it difficult to monitor students' progress continuously. And at TUT, we're looking to explore at how the retention center can assist lecturers to monitor students' progress continuously, identify those at risk for intervention so we can improve the success rate. I will take you through just a brief of what a retention center is. A retention center is an instructor online tool that makes lecturers and students aware of the risk factors in the subject. It allows lecturers to give focused attention to the students who need it the most. This is just the picture that shows the retention center risk table. And the retention center is consists of main three categories, which is the students at risk bar, the students that you are monitoring, and then as well as your course activity as a lecturer. The risk factors that a lecturer can have on the retention center can be based on the missed deadlines, to see how many students has missed deadlines on the activities that the lecturer might have developed on the LMS. And then the lecturer can also get grades alert, activity alert, as well as the access alert on the system as a whole. I will briefly share with you the results on the use of the retention center, where we have just briefly piloted in one of the faculties, which that is not a faculty as a whole, but a specific department. This was not a formal study. It is just one lecturer that was interested in improving the success rate. Then the lecturer wanted to employ more e-assessments in the subject. But the question or concern that she had was that, how is she going to know that students will really, or actual students really go and do these assessments online? And then the other thing was that, is there anything that can assist her to see which students did well and which students didn't do well? Because currently the method that she had was like printing out the spreadsheet and go next to each and every student and highlight those that scored below 50%. And as well in the department, they had a funding from TD grants to give students opportunities of being tutors and all that. But they didn't want to rely on the final result of the student before they can give those students an opportunity to be tutors. They wanted to monitor those students from the beginning of the year until the end of the semester, not only grant on the basis of one result, that is the final result. Now, on the first run of the pilot, not a formal pilot, when we checked at the retention center after the lecturer has employed the first e-assessment, we find that the students really didn't bother to attempt on those assessments. And then also we saw that the students didn't even bother to go into the system, for the past 4 days, of which it was a trauma, not a trauma as such, but a shock for that lecturer, because she did announce in the classroom, she did use the, the notice boards to say that there are assessments available, please go and do those assessments. And remember, in that department, they were not really, they were not that active on my tutor, which is the Blackboard LMS. So they were just using for basics. So it was the first time that they were taking it a step further to e-assessments. And now, after we saw, sorry, can I take you back? After we saw that, after we saw the results, with the retention center, the lecturer was able to notify the students that they've missed deadlines and that they have not been in the course for the past 5 days. And then that was a shock for the students, because they didn't know that that can be seen using the system. And then they starting to engage and run around resetting their passwords, finding out how to do all this, and because they got an individual messages that were told them that you are at the risk, not you are at the risk of failing, but you haven't done the assessment and you haven't been on the system for the past few days. What is happening? Please come and see me. So that frightened the students. And then after on the second run, the students were really were more participating. As we can see, this is the picture of the grade center. The lecturer had 5 different assessments at different times. So the first one, it was a struggle, but on the second up to the 5th assessment, students were had to be reminded that often. Actually, there were no students that had to be reminded that often, because they were now more motivated and more proactive, because they would go to a lecturer and ask, when are we having another assessment? And then the participation as well was increased, and for that semester in that subject, the success rate did improve. Remember, this subject was not really a high impact subject. That is, it was not one of those subjects that had a pass rate of less than 50%. But the lecturer just had an interest of employing new strategies and also improve the success rate of that subject. Now, this was also a wake-up call for us as instructional designers, that okay, this tool can impact and can have an impact in the improvement of success rate, though we know that there are many factors that can contribute in the success rate. But Retention Center has proven for that period that it can have an impact on the success rate. Now, the plan for the future, we just thought we need to build relationships with campus stakeholders. That is, relationships with the student affairs, with the SDS, that is student development support, because currently they are the ones sitting with this problem of motivating students, students at risk. They are just dumped with them at the last minute, that is at the end of the semester or end of the term. And by that time, student has lost hope already, and they think there's nothing that can be done. So we thought building relationships with the different stakeholders in the campus, and so we can establish a common goal of retaining students and improving success rate. If it means that be a center just for that with different stakeholders, that we can at least have that in our institution. And then when we do that, we'll start small, as we did with the Department of Economics. I'm not sure I mentioned earlier, but now when we start small, we will then promote it, then have training specifically on the retaining of students and success rate. And then also, our target point will be the high impact subject. I'm not sure if you remember the first, one of the slides from my colleague where she shared the success rate. I mean, the condition or the situation that we have of the high impact subject. So we're targeting the high impact subjects that already is ongoing, and then from there we will see if we can move to first year students. Then from there we target faculty, department. Then the need will be determined by the results as well that we will get from our starting points. According to Vincent Tinto, student success rate is directly linked to student support. And from the little pilot that we did in this department, we learned that the Retention Center monitors students' progress, and then also it gives them that sense of support, because students were really motivated to know that someone cares for them. Someone out there is really looking at their progress and is bothered about their failing or passing, and then it has also assisted in the improving of the success rate. So we now looking at how we can take it further in our institution.